Hi guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Happy Saturday. Today is Saturday, right? Happy Saturday. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on the time that you get to listen to this. If this podcast is good for you, it could also be good for someone else, so do share it with those that are closest to you. Thank you so much for tuning in today and for staying with me to the end of the book of Numbers. Yes, guys, we have come to the end of the book. Happy dance. Yeah, we've done 4 books. We've done Genesis, we've done Exodus, Leviticus, and now we are done with the book of Numbers. 4 books down. 1 trillion more to go, but we celebrate every progress. So today I will not be reading word for word, but I'll rather give a very short summary for the last 2 chapters of this book, which is chapter number 35 and chapter 36. And here we go. On the Moab plains, God commanded Moses to tell the Israelites that they had to give Levites some towns to reside in from their inheritance. They were also to give some pasture lands near these towns, and God also gave instructions of how big the pasture land would be that were near the towns. You guys remember how Levites were not to inherit any land because they have been set apart for God and for the work of God. So they were not going to get a specific lot of land or a specific plot, a specific piece of inheritance. But the Israelites and the other tribes God commanded them to give them towns in their lands, or rather in their inheritances, so that the Levites would get a place to live, and also they would get a place to keep their livestock, because remember guys that they are being given the offerings at the temple. So then where will they take these sheep if they don't even have a place to keep them and to graze them? So they were given specific small pieces of land where they could actually keep their livestock. This town, please note, were not specifically in one area. They were scattered all across because the inheritances of the other tribes were in different places. So they were just small towns in different places. So they were given 6 towns where 6 towns were to be used as refuge cities for the Levites. A place where people could go if they had killed a person, so that they could live and then stand trial. The Levites were also to be given an additional 42 towns. So in total, the Levites were given 48 towns, plus the pasture lands. And God said many towns could be taken from the tribes that had many, and only a few could be taken from the tribes that did not have many. So let's assume the tribe of Manasseh. Remember, half of it was going to not inherit land across Jordan, because half of it said they wanted to inherit land that was on the other side. So half of the Manasseh tribe, I'm assuming there were few. That means they got fewer towns. That means their contribution to the towns of Levites were going to be few. Maybe the tribe of Judah, which I assume was the biggest tribe, are going to get many towns. That means they were going to give more towns to the Levites. All right, so God also gives instructions on penalties for murder. And he says that on various penalties for those found guilty of murder, he said that they were the laws for many generations to come, no matter where they lived. That no one was to be executed unless there was a testimony from multiple witnesses. No one was to be executed on the testimony of just one person, because humans are humans. Humans can be haters, and people can lie and come and say you did something, and then you ever executed and you didn't even do it. That's why God needed there to be multiple witnesses. And then after that, you could have gotten executed. They were not to accept any ransom to spare the murderer's life, because the murderer deserved to die. And God said those that deserved death should be executed. And the Israelites were not to accept any ransom for anybody that had fled to one of the refugee cities, so that they could go back to their own towns to live. Basically, people were not to hongana, like they were not to accept bribe, so that they let the person live if they were meant to be executed. God also gave some laws on how to not pollute the land. He said the Israelites were told that they should not pollute their land, and God said that bloodshed would pollute the land, and if that happened, then atonement could not be made for that land that had bloodshed on it, other than by the blood that belonged to the person that shed the blood. So basically, don't kill each other, guys. Don't go murdering people, because now you're going to defile the land. And God said that they shouldn't defile the land where they lived, because he was going to dwell among the Israelites. So it's like God was like, I also live here, guys. So please don't defile this land. And that is basically the end of Numbers chapter 35. And we're going to go straight to Numbers chapter 36 and see what that chapter is about. So the family leaders of Gilead clan and the clans that had descended from Joseph went to speak to Moses, as well as many leaders from different Israel families. They told Moses and the others and that when God had commanded that the land be given as inheritance to them by lot, God also ordered that the inheritance of their brother Zelophehad was to be given to his daughters. You guys remember the daughters, the 5 daughters, the ones that were unmarried? And they were like, okay, our father died, but now he died of his own sins. So what happens to his piece of land and in his inheritance? Can we get it? And God said, yes, you can take the inheritance of your father. So they asked, what if the Zelophehad's daughters married men from some other Israelite tribe? Will that mean that the inheritance will not be part of the ancestral inheritance? Because it will be given to the tribe that they had married into. They went on to tell Moses and others that the allotted inheritance would be taken away from them. They said that when the Jubilee year arrives, the inheritance is going to become part of whatever tribe the Zelophehad's daughters marry into, and will no longer be part of their tribal inheritance for their ancestors. So basically they're saying, okay, so now what happens to these 5 daughters if they go and get married? Please remember, these daughters were from the Manasseh tribe. So they're asking, what if one of them goes and gets married in Judah? That means the inheritance will be given unto the tribe of Judah. So now that means that Judah will have more inheritance land than us, Manasseh, because now these daughters have decided to go and marry in another tribe. So God has a solution for that, and this is what he said. God then commanded that Moses gives an order to all the Israelites. And Moses told them that God had agreed with the tribe that had descended from Joseph. He said that God had commanded the following: that Zelophehad's daughter could marry whoever they please, as long as the Zelophehad's daughter married within the tribal clan of their father. So because their father was from the tribe of Manasseh, they could only marry from the tribe of Manasseh. God did not want any of the inheritances in Israel to be passed on to another tribe outside their particular tribal clan. God wanted, come up and Judah, stay here. God didn't want people to get all mixed up and get all confused. No. All the Israelites were to keep their tribal inheritance that came from their ancestors. And Moses said that God had stated that every daughter that had inherited land from the Israelite tribe had to marry a person from their father's tribe clan. God said that this was so every Israelite would have the inheritance from the ancestors. So what did the Zelophehad daughters do? They actually went on to marry from their father's side. And the Bible says that they married their cousins that were on their father's side. I'm not sure that the word cousin in this context means someone who was like a son to their father's brother or something like that, but I think it just means in the context of they got married from men from the tribe of Manasseh, not necessarily like direct cousins. I don't think that's the context, but anyway, it continues to say that they actually obeyed and they got married to men from their father's side, and they stayed in the tribe of their father. And God gave Moses these commands on the Moab plains across from Jericho. And that is basically the end of the chapter. Please remember that this is happening just across, like on the opposite side. Next to them is the river, which is the Jordan River. But on the opposite side is Jericho. And that is basically Canaan. This is basically the promised land. And that is where this is happening. Honestly, I don't have much of a takeout from these 2 chapters, or maybe it's just that I'm excited and I want to soak in the fact that we are done with the book of Numbers. So for the first time, I will intentionally invite you guys to share your takeout from either of these last 2 chapters or from the whole book of Numbers by commenting on this YouTube video. This is a great opportunity to hear back from you guys. So in the comment section, say hello, send an encouragement or an insight, or share what you have been learning so far. What you've been learning from the book of Numbers, what you have learned so far since we started doing the Bible summary. Like, just share some sort of insight, some sort of encouragement, some sort of what you're like. Type something, get typing. And I'm hoping to get as many comments as the number of people that listen to this podcast on my YouTube channel. As usual, we'll be taking a few days break between now and when we start the book of Deuteronomy. Yay! And we're going to be starting on the 1st of August. 1st of August at 6 a.m. Ta-da! We start the book of Deuteronomy. So please use this break to catch up on the podcast that you have missed, or look through some of your major takeouts from the book of Numbers. In the meantime, I'll be posting a video with the overview of the whole book of Numbers, just to remind us of what we have learned and how we can apply it in our lives. So look out for that. Remember to, when I post the link, go and watch it so that we remember some of the things that we have learned, and then we can also just see how we can apply Numbers in our lives. Again, thank you so much for being with me on this Bible adventure. And get typing, because I am waiting to read all your insights. This is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and this has been Reflections by Wakeji Kamore.